Keep it up. I love it.
Tipping. A generous act of courtesy you do when you're more than satisfied with the service you were providing, and you give them a little extra money. Usually you give these to your servers at restaurants, your barber, and strippers, just as a way of telling them you're doing a good job. Go get yourself a nice pair of undies. And this overall thing is practiced all around the world. It's not exactly a foreign concept for anybody. Tipping is a normal thing, but no place on earth lets it give out the tip more than the US of A. We go X Games mode with the tipping over here, cause we be giving everybody tips. We tip our delivery drivers, taxis, bellhops, housekeeping, house movers, bartenders. If you're an in-person service, then most likely you accept tips. Even my homie's last job at the gas station, where he just pumped people's gas, he got over $100 in tips in one day. I didn't even know people tip for that. We love to tip everybody except the homeless, but has it gone too far? Let me go off real quick, but I've been seeing tipping options where I've never seen them before, like counter services, cashiers. I've never heard of tipping cashiers, but those blue blocks on the iPad beg to differ. One time I went to a concert and I went to the merch booth. I got a hoodie, bro handed me the hoodie, then turned around his iPad for a tip. Now I know these people don't get paid too well, but what in that interaction concurred a tip? Did he slip me $100 bill in a hoodie that I didn't see? I don't think so. I don't think I'm gonna tip. But I would usually see these in local businesses most of the time, so that's all fine and dandy. But I've heard Starbucks is also doing tips. Now I don't really go to Starbucks because it's just not for me. I like my coffee a certain way. I like my coffee how I like my men. Long, black, and Vietnamese. And no offense to you Starbucks employees out there, but I'ma treat y'all like McDonald's and Burger King. Like, why would I tip the drive-thru cashier? That just sounds unnecessary. And as long as those restaurants are not asking for tips, then I'm never gonna tip. Don't get no ideas, please. However, I understand why these workers would want to tip though. They work low-wage jobs and sometimes they got families to take care of at home, so a tip or two would make their lives a little bit easier. But I'm selfish. I'm not trying to tip at Wendy's, bro. But I know that day will eventually come. I can smell it. This is the US. We'll somehow incorporate tipping into everything, so the employers can justify why they're paying their employees minimum wage. And whenever someone doesn't tip, they get mad at us instead of the business that's giving them a non-living wage. That's why tipping is super pushed. So restaurants, for example, can pay their waiters low salaries to encourage them to aim for tips. So the waiters have to be as upstanding, top of their tippy toes, holly jolly of a worker as possible to try to get ends meet, so the customer can walk away feeling happy about their experience, the owner of the restaurant being happy because of the profit and good look of the business, while the waiters walk away with a $2 tip and food stamps for a salary. Or at least that's just my theory, my game theory. Now people that have never had a job might say, ain't that a good thing? It makes the waiters actually try to do their job well. Bro, ain't nobody wanna work minimum wage, period, bro, in this economy. Doesn't matter if I'm getting tips, all it takes is one bad day of penny pinching tips to be like, well, Scoob, I guess we have to eat whatever's in the fridge tonight. I should know. I used to be a waiter. I was a waiter for weddings and other events in my late senior year, and my wage was decent, $15 an hour, and for a high school student, that's pretty good. Plus, I only worked on the weekends. Man, this job was gonna be a breeze. But that was only because I was a kid. I ain't need that much in the first place. All I thought is, if I can afford food, sold. But to spoil the fun, most of the time, I did not get any tips or very little tips. And 95% of my gigs was at weddings, so the food was already paid for. I was giving these niggas free food and I got nothing. And I was always all nice and shit. I was never mean. I was all like, hello, hot diggity day, what would you lovely people like to have? I thought I was doing a good job. I even shaved off my hair to be more presentable, which is something I still regret to this day. Don't cut the hair you love for no jobs. Unless it look like this, you might get no job with that. I did get tips sometimes. The biggest tip I've ever gotten was $40 from a table of old white women and a gay dude. And from then on, they became my target audience. I'd always pick the table with the gay niggas, cause I know they'd give me the biggest tip. And me complaining about small tips might sound like a trivial problem, but I'm talking about like in the grand scheme of things of this kind of job. Like if I was an adult with this job paying bills, taxes, rent, all that, I could not live like this. I know this because I had co-workers in their late 20s, 30s, 40s who said they couldn't take care of themselves with this wage. That's why they sold drugs on the side. That's why we should hold these businesses accountable to have higher wages for their employees so they don't have to rely on tips anymore. We must rise against this corrupt business practice. Who's with me?
Hey.
you're just saying this because you just don't want to pay tips no more. Well, duh. I don't like tipping. Who does? Who wants to pay more of their own money when they don't have to? I'm not a misogynist, a masochist. Wrong word. I am the other one. I'm not saying I don't tip. I do. But mainly because I want to at least try to balance out my good deeds with my bad ones when I'm in the pearly gates. I'm not trying to go to hell because I didn't tip my IHOP waitress who so happened to be battling cancer and diabetes that one time. I'm trying to get to heaven. But if I gave zero, darns, dangs, or I would almost never tip. I would look at the bill, then pay the bill, then end it there. I would only tip if I received outstanding service, because, you know, most services nowadays are just average, you know, regular stuff, nothing to point out, but you still supposed to tip. In a perfect world, I would only tip if the person is enthusiastically nice. Fast service, give me a back massage, and also pay for my food. Then I would tip. I can understand tipping delivery drivers because they also need the money to pay for their gas, but that can go with the higher wage argument that I said earlier. And if they show up mad late, then I don't have to tip them. We should bring back the 30 minutes or less or the food is free rule. I'd start ordering food from Russia on purpose. Save myself a stack. And like I said earlier, I know these people need these tips to survive. I know they have mouths to feed. I know. I feel you. But in the back of my mind, I know I have mouths to feed too. My own mouth. And tipping is slowly taking that away from me. Now I'm gonna starve. And remember earlier when I said tipping is not a foreign concept? Well, apparently it is to most countries. Every time I look in the comment section for a post regarding tipping, 90% of the comments will be from foreigners saying, well, over here in Timbuktu, Jumanji land, we never even heard of tipping. I didn't even know Jumanji was a real place, but it sounds like heaven if they don't tip. And it makes me think the people of the US here are purposely fucking me with this tipping shit. It's to be expected we tip 20 to 25% of the bill here. You have a better chance pulling a gun on me and robbing me because that's the only way you're gonna get that much money out of me. And I've been seeing news reports about how there's a spread of self-checkout machines with tipping options. Who the hell am I tipping? Mr. and Mrs. Walmart themselves? Why they need my money? Why they need a tip? Any self-checkout tipping machine out there could suck the tip of my pee-pee. That's what you could do. And like I said earlier, I do tip my delivery drivers and waiters. I do. But I hate tipping. I bloody hate it. If I could abolish it, I would. I hate it. However, I know it's the right thing to do. Or at least I was raised to believe if I don't tip my waiters, I'm a which I don't really believe now, but I begrudgingly admit tipping won't kill me. So I still tip. How much I tip? None of your beeswax. And even though I tip most of the time, I'm not gonna tell y'all you should tip. You could do whatever you want with the money you've earned. Like, I could be spending my money on helping the children in Africa and building houses there. But how else am I supposed to pay for my drip? I need money for my clothes, man. Those kids in Africa, they're not gonna pay for me. But yeah, those are my thoughts on tipping. Employees need better pay so I can stop paying. And in conclusion,
Element of surprise!
on Earth, we face a multitude of natural enemies. We have the wild animals, the natural disasters, the Fire Nation, and worse yet, Steve Kerr's son. And throughout our lives, we are preparing ourselves if we ever suddenly find ourselves in a situation where we come across these obstacles. Normally in the grown-up world, we'll just shoot and ask questions later if we encounter these problems. And sometimes, half the time, it works every time. However, there are some occasions that humanity's natural enemies might come for us at school. And in case of those situations, we have school practice drills. Now, is that really why we have school drills? No, I just have a phobia of Steve Kerr's son. American schools are known for a lot of things. None of them are good things, but they are certainly things. And I remember in school, we used to have surprise emergency practice drills. You know, stuff like the fire alarm piercing our ears at 8:30 in the morning while we're still half asleep. And for me, these drills never made sense because each drill, they'd want us to act in a calm and organized fashion. Even in a situation when it's not a drill and it's the real thing, they expect students to just walk out calmly. That's just not reality. In a real fire drill, nobody gonna walk in a single filed line out the door. Everyone is gonna be running and sprinting out of there, shoving everything and everyone out their way. That's what's really gonna happen. Nobody's gonna be calm and collective. Everybody's gonna be running out of there because they don't wanna burn to death. Now, this also might not be the safest way to do it, because in a perfect world, we're all running as fast as possible, but we're all running in sync. You know, nobody getting trampled or injured, no casualties. We'll all get out of there spick and span. The problem is that doesn't exist, and we have some slow ass people holding us up from us trying not to be burned alive. Fast students trying to run away and the slow students holding them up. But I don't want the slow students to get injured, you know. We're all human after all. I'm trying to get everybody out of there as safe and fast as possible. So I found a simple solution to that problem. During a real fire drill, all the slow people, you know who you are, stay back in the classroom and wait for everybody else to run out. Then after, when everybody's gone, then you can go. Hopefully, you didn't get burned alive during that time. Simple problems require simple solutions. This might sound inhumane, but I swear this is the best option for everybody. I speak for the people when I say this. We don't want slow niggas walking 2 kilometers an hour while we're trying to sprint out a burning building. We will push you out the way and run you over. No joke. There's literally no time to waste. You walking around slow is gonna kill the both of us. And not gonna lie, I'd rather you die than me. So get the hell out the way! Leaving them behind in the classroom is the best option. That's how fire drills at school should be done. Not this single file line stuff. They will be safe, I promise you. We will leave them with a water bottle just in case. But you know what's worse than how schools do fire drills? How schools do lockdown drills. I don't know if they do this in other countries, cause y'all don't really gotta worry about this happening like us Americans do. But lockdown drills are basically drills preparing us for just in case a dude come in school trying to play real life Call of Duty. And during these practice drills, they had us turn off the lights in the classroom, lock the door, and had us all hide in the same corner of the room, staying quiet. And when I say quiet, I mean quietly talking. People like to talk. And yeah, that's basically what we have to do during lockdown drills. Now, do you see why this is dumb? We're supposed to do this if the Joker comes in the building. Every student in the classroom is basically in one place, just hoping that he doesn't come in. This don't leave students safe. This leaves students vulnerable. Just cause you turn off the lights and lock the door doesn't mean he thinks nobody's in there. Bitch, he was in there with us doing the practice drills. He knows what's up. And me personally, I'm not sitting there waiting to die. Soon as I hear a for real lockdown drill and I start hearing, I'ma grab the nearest chair and bust the window open, then jumping out, then running as fast as humanly possible. What you think I'm gonna do? Just sit there and play hide and seek with him? No! But there's complications to this too. What if the classroom don't have any windows? Or you're in a classroom in the basement? Well, sorry to say this, but you might be screwed, and I'm not gonna hold you. Really, the best thing I can recommend in that situation is running zigzags, bro. Running zigzags. He's gonna miss. However, I have a plan for how lockdown drills should be done. Now, we can't have everybody running outside the classroom where the is at. That's just not smart. So we gotta have an escape plan with 0 casualties. Here's the plan. On the loudspeaker on a normal day at school, the announcer will be talking about a special assembly, saying, "Good morning, students. May I please have all the Ethans, Connors, Zachs, Hunters, really all white boys that are wearing DC shoes, please head to the auditorium for a special assembly. There will be complimentary Monster Energy drinks, mayonnaise, and Christian Bale and Ben Sharpio will be special guest speakers. Head there as soon as possible. Thank you." As soon as they hear that announcement, they're gonna be running out that door like animals. They're gonna get there as soon as possible. You had them at mayonnaise, bro. You had them at mayonnaise. We do this to get rid of all the quiet kids, cause one of them gotta be it, bro. One of them, bro. And the special guests don't actually have to show up. It's just a front so we can actually talk about the real plan with the students. Okay, so the plan is this. We all jumping out the window, not hiding in the classroom. We all leaving. After that, outside of every classroom is a secret passageway. And this secret passageway is gonna look like a big wardrobe closet. Looks normal, right? It's supposed to be misleading, cause it really leads to a secret basement under the school that only we know about. And in that basement, there will be bulletproof armor for all the students and weapons of mass destruction. This is literally the safest place for these students to be. And bam! It's that easy. I just made a drill that's infinitely better than what students do now. Tell me I'm wrong. Then after we done going over the real drill, we call all the quiet kid students back from the assembly. Then they arrive at class. Then we're gonna go over the fake practice drill, which is the real practice drill that people go over today. I just solved American school's biggest problem in like a few minutes. And now a common question might be, well, where are we gonna get the money for weapons of mass destruction and body armor for all the students? And I'm glad you asked that question. And here's my answer. I don't know. There were also tornado drills. I didn't really do this in school because there's really no tornadoes where I live. But the few times we did it, I didn't really understand it as a kid because we'd have to go in the hallways and go on the walls and duck. And I thought, what is the tornado gonna do? Jump over us if we all duck it on the wall? Like, what is this? Now that I'm older, I can understand if you don't got a basement, this is probably the best option to protect yourself from a tornado. What else can you really do? Run? You're gonna try to run away from it and you're gonna end up in the land of the Wizard of Oz. But school tornado practice drills is overall done right. Congratulations, you've done one thing right. Man, I should become a principal and run a school. Based on my ideas on how to run school drills, my school about to be the safest school in America. Unlike these other schools teaching fake fundamentals of safety, my school is gonna teach the real fundamentals of life and safety.
How to do the back win with your nutsack.
Degen Ohio Tech, grades K to 12. I'ma open that school and have the motherfucking Incredibles and Baki's dad as security. This is gonna be the safest school ever. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I just had a random thought about saving the schools of America by actually proposing good school drills. And in conclusion, any school that's missing a principal, hit me up.
As a kid, I did a lot of naughty things, like stay up to watch late night television, and on some of those nights, when I'm laughing all gleefully at Peter Griffin's hilarious antics, the TV screen suddenly goes to black, and the screen has low pixelated white text on, while the most bone-chilling beeping sound pierces my ears. At this point, I get a little scared and go under my covers, cause I don't understand what's going on. Is this part of the Family Guy episode? The screen and beeping would last about 30 seconds. But it felt like an eternity till it finally switches back to my regular scheduled program. But almost every time after that happens, I'm not in the mood to watch TV no more. I'm going to sleep. What I just had the misfortune of going through was the U.S. Emergency Alert System, a national public warning system that would warn people of emergency information like weather and such. But most of the times I ever saw it, they was just testing the system. They would play this almost every Tuesday night. I remember, and almost every time it was a test, ruining my night for no reason. But the worst nights would be when it wasn't a test, and they would play the interruption for a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm. And during those interruptions, this shit would start talking back to you, loud as hell, announcing the warning using an Xbox mic. Those warnings would make me piss myself back then. I wasn't even listening to the words they were saying. As soon as I hear him talking, I instantly knew it was serious. My mind would go straight to the worst outcome, like, oh no, we're gonna get nuked. Oh no, it's gotta be Russia. I thought Putin was bluffing. God, please protect my house from the nuke. But not my school. It got to the point where I just turned off the TV every time it popped up, because the alarm sounds of the broadcast alone make me think 9/11, the squeakquel, is about to happen. There's also Amber Alerts getting sent to our phones every time someone goes missing. Acting like when I see that alert, I'ma put on my Batman suit and instantly start looking for the lost person and interrogating everybody I find suspicious. I got better things to do. I got 4 o'clock at 4 o'clock, bro. I can't miss that. Nah, but people do need to for real look for the people that they send alerts for. I'm just a dickhead. Cause like I said before, I automatically assume the worst case scenario. Because when I see a missing person report sent to my phone, my first thought is always, nah, they dead. Or they already on the human trafficking bus right now. They're on their way to their local billionaire or Minecraft YouTuber's house, bro.
Man,
it's over. It's a bad habit and I shouldn't think it. I know. And the sound of the alert is also very alarming. It's nothing scary, no. It just sounds like the IV of someone who just OD'd. And when I think of the Amber Alert and remembering the nightmare-inducing national broadcast alert, I start to wonder what the alerts sound like in the rest of the world. Are they as, less, or equally as annoying and scary as the one here? Let's peep this out. Let's start with the most advanced civilization in the world, North Korea, whose EAS alarm sounds like someone moving a table across the floor. Like, you hear this, right? This supposed to be the emergency sound, yet if I heard this at night, I'ma just be thinking, who the f is playing Minecraft this loud at 2 a.m.? And listen to Poland's. Shit sounds like those weird flutes from that one SpongeBob episode, or when a Looney Tune character falls off a cliff. This supposed to keep me alert? And Germany's EAS? Like, this don't sound like an alarm system. Just add a Brazilian beat to it and now it turns into the dance song of the year. It's like these countries don't understand what an emergency alarm is supposed to sound like. It's not supposed to sound happy or silly. It's gotta be scary. Example, Saudi Arabia's 1991 alarm. Something that sounds so simple yet so alarming. Shit sounds like a 70s horror movie. Also, there's Lebanon's alarm, which when it goes off, it sounds like freaking aliens landed on Earth. I love it. And then there's Egypt's, which just sounds like the most nightmare-inducing shit a person can hear. Honestly, if I heard this in the middle of the night as a kid, I'd be thinking the fucking Decepticons are taking over the country. And I love it. This is what all emergency alarms should sound like. When you think of a national emergency, you gotta have an alarm to properly dictate how bad the situation is. Even if the situation isn't that bad, but it still garners an EAS broadcast. Like, it might rain tomorrow. I want to hear the most bone-chilling, bone-guzzling, horrifying alarm that the human mind could ever imagine. So horrifying that the people that heard it would think the rain that's falling down the sky will burn off their skin and give them cancer. And the only way for them to escape is to flee to the next continent. That's the kind of alarm I want for the countries. Not no calm, everything is sunshine and rainbows. No, like Japan's EAS alarm. Like, what is this? This shit sounds like a ringtone. If I was living there and I heard that, I'd be like, oh, did I get a text message? Ah, shucks, it's just an EAS alarm. It's whatever, it's probably nothing. I'll just go on with my day and continue on my afternoon walk and what the hell is that? You see, that's why countries should have crazy loud, deafening alarm sounds no matter how bad the situation is. Cause the day there is a real emergency, the people will always be prepared and aware. Probably mass hysteria and freak out would happen, but we will all be ready for it. The US should have a national alarm less like Finland's guitar ballad and more like Zombia's "Get the hell out of here" alarm. And that's reason 2099 you should vote for me for president. My first act of Congress, changing our EAS alarm system. I even created one myself. Hear it. It's gonna rain! It's gonna rain! Get inside! Get inside! I made that one myself. And the people of the US will always respectfully and accordingly act as follows upon hearing this EAS system. Second act, free gas station weed. Cause no nigga should ever be legally paying for that shit. America, we have a problem and I just fixed it. You're welcome. Because clearly nowadays it feels like our government is moving backwards. Anyways, that's all I really wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about more of them, but half of these alarms sound the same to one another and the other half are just fake sounds. I seen a bunch of fake ones like this 1923 Mozambique EAS video and it's just the freaking Roblox music. I can't even trust my sources, bro. So that was a thing. But before I go, I have had an epiphany. The greatest idea to be ever thunk by a human being. Steve Jobs and Aristotle combined couldn't even think of this idea. You ready? I've decided I wanted to hear you guys' confessions. Because that has obviously never been done in the history of the internet ever. I know, crazy original idea, right? I want y'all to write me your wildest confessions. Shit you planned on taking to your grave. It don't even gotta be something you've done. It could be something your friend done that fucked you up. I'll read them all anonymously. Don't worry, your secret's safe for me. All you gotta do is email your terrible confessions. It's on screen, also in the description. The topic doesn't matter, so you can send them away. You can also comment it down below if you're too lazy to do that. But I'ma tell you, there's a way bigger chance of you getting exposed in real life if you comment, bro. I will censor your username in the video, but I don't delete comments though. So if you got something horrible to say, you should probably just email it or keep it to yourself. That's probably much better. I'm doing this because I think it'll be fun, and also I know I haven't posted in a minute. I wish I had a good excuse like, oh man, I caught the gout, bro. But like, nah man, let's just say I haven't learned that much from my last procrastination video, which was a year ago. And age restricted, so you probably haven't even watched it. I know I could get this confession video out faster than usual. That's all I really wanted to say. I'll be waiting. And in conclusion,
one man allegedly went too far when he was told his Little Caesars pizza was not hot and ready, pulling an AK-47.
He's a monster. He's not a human being. He's a monster.
Drug addict, a psychopath,
Killer.
And I hate it so much! I hate it!
They said wanted, dead or alive.
Overnight, growing national unrest.
Boy, what the going on in Miami, bro?
They need to stop him.
I've talked about childhood books in the past video of mine, where I went over, what do you think? And during the making of that video, I purposely left out a book. A book that I also read during my childhood, specifically 3rd grade. And this book confused me back then, because the kids' books I read were very simple and sweet picture books that would either have a message or show how good and friendly we can be to each other. But only in their universe, that can't exist in ours. And unlike any of those, this book didn't display any of that. Instead, it showed something else. Someone sinister. A person that doesn't kneel to any rules. That book was No David. The main character, David, was a force to be reckoned with. In fact, there is no reckoning. He's an unmovable object. The villain of villains. The evilest evil. Imagine Homelander. There you go. And you might be asking me, my guy, he looks 6. How is he that bad? And 2 questions like that is why I hate people who judge books by its cover. Okay, maybe you can judge that book, but David is a monster! Well, not really, because he's a kid, but it's about what he will become in the future. And if you don't remember or know the war crimes this kid committed, I'ma show you. I've read all 8 books of this series, and I will show you all the highlights of him being a clown or a jackass, and I will convince you that he is Baby Joker. But let's not be biased. Let me show you the highlights of him being good first, so you can form your own opinion. So, here you go. Oh wait, there are none! I'ma begin with the OG No David. And he's already starting off his legacy with killing goldfish. Man, they're the snack that smiles back. Why would you kill them? No, David. You see, this story is being seen in his mom's perspective, and it's always her saying, no, David, but just letting him do it. He's reaching for the cookie jar, and you ain't doing nothing. Smack him out the chair. Then he tracked doo-doo in the house, so he has to take a bath. This is the dirtiest bathwater I've ever seen. Then he goes running out butt-ass naked in the street. Like I said, he don't care. He don't care about no rules, no laws. He doesn't care about public indecency. That's just another law he can break. Then he continues to do more nefarious activities. But the worst one was definitely him breaking the vase with a baseball bat. This man is doing bad in practice in his own home. Deliberately. Look at his face. Look at what he's looking at. He knows what he's doing. And of course, he breaks the vase and gets a timeout. Like, that's gonna do anything. Then his doormat of a mom sees him with a little sad face and is like, "Oh, David, come here." Takes him out of timeout and then says, "I love you, David." The end. What? That's it? That's all you're gonna do? He wasn't even punished. She really believed those crocodile tears. He's faking it. He ain't sad because he broke the vase. He's sad that he got caught and got in trouble. He ain't sorry. This dude intentionally broke the vase with murder on his mind. And what the mom does is shrugs it off and hugs him? Man, beat his ass! That's the only way his evil behind's gonna learn. But you rewarded him with your love and affection? After he broke your great-grandma's vase and her ashes were in there too? It's crazy, man. I know when David is in high school, he gonna be treating his mom like those memes of when you visit your white friend's house. Then the felon continues. In the next book, David gets in trouble. Does he now? Big shock!
It's about damn time.
We start the book off with this page. I didn't mean to. You're riding a skateboard in your house. What you think was gonna happen? Plus you got that big smile on your face. You meant it. It was an accident. Bruh, this is the first 2 pages and I'm already calling the police on him. I couldn't deal with this kid. This man belongs in juvie. He ain't normal. And then you have this dude walking to school in his undies. This boy just wants problems. And all the kids are laughing because he's the class clown. David, Just be glad you're in elementary school, because in elementary, everybody will be laughing with you for wearing your undies to school, while in high school, if you did that, everybody's gonna make fun of you and bully you for being a clown, which you deserve. Then we go to class, and he's already starting something. My dog ate my homework. And the side kid's laughing like... But the girl ain't having none of David's jokes. She giving him the side eye like... This nigga lying. No dog ate his homework. But the thing is, David wasn't lying. Because if you look out the window, the dog is there eating his homework. Unbelievable. That's probably the first time he ever told the truth in his life. So you know what David does as revenge to the dog eating his homework? Well, a few pages later, this nigga gone eating the dog food in front of the dog. What a menace. Even the worst villain wouldn't do something so bad. So despicable. Even the dog looking at him like, why would you do this? And you know what David said? I was hungry. No feelings. No respect. No emotions. This boy is not human! He continues to commit acts of terrorism throughout the rest of the book. And by the end of it, his mom confronts him for being a piece of shit. And so David says, I'm sorry. And he's forgiven. That's it. That's all. That's the end of the book. You know, I'm noticing a pattern here. I'm noticing that no matter what this kid does, he's always gets the long end of the stick. He always wins. Even when he's wrong, he wins. He's the greatest supervillain of all time. And he's like this in every book. Like, here's him cutting the line. Who do you think he is? Here's him spelling his name with doo-doo in the snow. What's wrong with you? And cursing in front of his mom? Kids aren't supposed to be cursing, dumbass. And then he says, well, Dad says it. Well, I might not know your daddy, but I don't think you should be repeating the words he says. And in almost all 8 books, he keeps up this behavior with no change. So it ain't even worth going over each book. I'm showing you what he does in each book right now in the screen. He doesn't change. This kid is a criminal, a lawbreaker, a swindler, a rogue good-for-nothing baddie. What? And what does he get for it? A Merry Christmas. Absolutely outrageous. This kid needs to be apprehended immediately. Because if we keep letting him get away with this, it will be too late. In conclusion...
David!
Luxury. Royalty. Wealth. Money. This is the lifestyle of the richest of folk. The top 1%. A way of life that peasants could never understand. The commodities of this lifestyle include country clubs, Coke, marrying your cousin, but totally not in a weird way. It's definitely just to keep the money in the family. And the greatest one-up of all, being able to buy on-brand items. Being able to buy brands like Balenciaga and Gucci without worrying about burning a hole in your wallet must be the best feeling. Even more fulfilling, having the money to buy on-brand foods. Only the rich can afford brands like Oreos and Honey Nut Cheerios, believe me. I tried buying that the other day and the cashier tried kicking me out telling me, sir, you can't pay for your food with Monopoly money. So I pulled out my 100% get anything for free coupon. I can't afford the snobby on-brand items like Raisin Brand. Don't look that up, just trust me. Most of us are just broke, working 9 to 5 at retail or dealing with annoying customers at fast food. And when done with those jobs, you can't go buying expensive goods like Doritos, you gotta save money. That's when you go and get the off-brand items. They're cheaper and they taste the same, kind of, a little, sort of, not really. But there's nothing wrong with them. That's why I hate seeing people make fun of these foods as if they've never been into an Audi before. Sorry, our privileged asses got to go to Target. When I was your age, I was living in the trenches of Trinidad, down the street of O Block on 63rd, up the street of Harlem, where I sold rocks, staying in a 1-bathroom studio apartment at the Bermuda Triangle. We couldn't afford food like that. When y'all was eating Pringles, I was eating cracks.
They were very addictive. You had the privilege to eat Nutella. I had the disprivilege to eat Nutmaster. It was very sticky in my mouth. While you were enjoying cheese sandwiches with Kraft singles, I was content with imitation pasteurized processed cheese food singles. While you were enjoying M&Ms at the movies, I was partaking in H&H, which stands for HIV and hives. It gives you both. And I couldn't even get Reese's Pieces. All I could afford was Reese's Pieces, and I had to split it with my family. While your family was enjoying the delicious lean ground beef, I was devouring... Oh my. I'm not complaining. Also, even though this is technically not off-brand, but whenever I wanted ice cream, I had to buy the ones in a box. And I don't know who thought of this, but this is the worst way to eat ice cream or anything. Why? Why would you put it in a cardboard box? If the ice cream melts a single atom, it tastes like cardboard. Even if you freeze the melted parts over, it tastes like cardboard. And since it's in a box, once you open it, you can never securely close it again, which leaves it open for freezer burns, which ruins it. And even if you securely close the top, the corners of the box will always have a little openings, giving it freezer burns. So there's no point. If it melts a singular drop, it tastes like cardboard. Even if you close it, it still tastes terrible. Cardboard box ice cream is the worst food atrocity imaginable. Is it really that expensive to make ice cream and put it into a carton? Just because you shop at Aldi doesn't mean we had to be served garbage. Whoever invented cardboard ice cream, go eat your daddy's ass cheeks and tell me how that tastes. Cause I bet you tenfold that it tastes better than this piece of dookie that you serve for customers' consumption. Anyways, I lived in the hood, and my struggles living in North Korea didn't stop at food. I couldn't even enjoy the entertainment I wanted to watch or play. All I could get were bootlegs. I remember when GTA 5 came out, and I asked my mom to get it, and she said, GTA? We got GTA at home. And then I downloaded Go to Auto 3 online, where you play as Andrew Tate, driving and working out for money. This is just as good as GTA 5. I also couldn't afford a PlayStation. I instead got a GS5 by Phony. Phony. They didn't even try to sugarcoat it. It's phony. I also recall when Captain America Civil War hit theaters. I was so stoked on seeing it. But then I remembered I lived off of food stamps, not money. So all I could afford was Captain Battle Legacy War.
A war hero returns home to find his peaceful town overrun by Nazis.
But with all those setbacks, I could live with them. Who cares about getting on-brand food? As long as I'm eating, that's all that really matters. Who cares about watching and playing the latest media? As long as I'm up to date with the latest trends, it's all that really matters. Like, I know kids nowadays are saying, "What are those?" at people who wear shoes. I saw it in the latest Black Panther movie. You know, I'm very hip. The real problem was buying clothes, cause all I could afford were the off-brand fits. And if you were like me, living in the Bronx down in Cleveland at South Vietnam, you wouldn't survive walking in fake clothing without getting savagely roasted. I'd be getting the worst kind of stares while everybody was walking in their Tommy Hilfigers. I was rocking the Tom Hollands. I tried fit it in, I really did. Wearing my Supreme box logo with some Gucci to make it look a little nicer. I even started wearing new kicks, better than any Nike you've ever worn in your life. They're called Mikes. Each shoe sold separately. But even though I was rocking the hardest faucet drip that I've ever worn in my entire existence, to the people around me, the drips out of that faucet must have came from Ethiopia because my drip was not clean. Everyone laughed, ridiculed me for wearing off-brand clothes. All the kids at my school back at Shanghai didn't mess with any of my clothes. They were the whole reason why I moved from China back to my hometown, Albuquerque. Everybody made fun of me because I was different, because I couldn't afford the expensive stuff like North Face and Legos and Oreos, Off-brand is all I know. It's not my fault my financial situation wasn't as secured as yours. And so, I caved in recently. I can't handle the bullying no more. They're all gonna learn not to make fun of me no more. Not again. So I bought a Gap shirt.
Hey guys, so I recently just got this Gap shirt a few days ago because people kept making fun of my fake clothes, and if it went for one day longer, I might have just, killed myself. But it's all good now because now I have an on-brand shirt and I'll finally be invited to parties. The ladies will start liking me. I'll be just like my favorite protagonist from all those animes I watch. I'll be just like him. So yeah, I ordered this shirt off of Amazon the other day and you wouldn't believe what they gave me. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. What is this? What is this? This ain't Gap, bro. This Gap!
I can't escape it. It's a part of me now. No matter where I go, Sydney, Johannesburg, Rio, the off-brand follows me. It's become a part of me, attached like Ben 10's watch. I can't get rid of it. I just have to accept it. But I won't accept this to happen to anybody else. So I donated $200 to Save the Children, not sponsored. I actually don't even know what they're saving the children from. I just hope they're saving them from these fake-ass, shitty-ass clothes and giving them Off-White and Jordans instead. I don't think that's happening, but still, I'm gonna leave the link in the description if you want to donate too. I don't know what else to say other than I'll be wearing off-brand clothes for the rest of my life. And in conclusion,
What the hell?
21.
Yeah?
Can you do something for me?
Okay.
Can you talk to the ops next for me?
Yeah.
21. Do your thing, 21. Do your thing.
Every day when you're walking down the street, everybody that you meet.
Ah, babies. Who doesn't love them? Oh, not me, but that's only because I'm grown now. Yeah, the only time when I liked babies was during the time when I was inside one. Wait. That's not what I meant. That sounds crazy. What I meant was when I was a literal baby myself. Like, we've all been inside babies before. Wait, hold on. That's not what I meant. When you're a baby, you don't gotta worry about nothing. Someone's already feeding you, bathing you, strolling you around on the street, cleaning the doodle out your pants. You never have any responsibilities for yourself. Being a baby is the new 80. It's awesome. And since we were babies, when we weren't sleeping or swallowing the nearest lethal object, we were playing with toys or watching the preschool shows our parents put on the TV. You know, they changed it to the children's channels, PBS, TBS, CBS, putting on the shows for us toddlers. Well, my parents didn't really do that. I would just watch whatever my siblings were watching, which was Cartoon Network and Disney Channel 99% of the time, and whatever my dad was watching. And he was not watching the most baby-friendly stuff. Like, literally, both me and my dad would fall asleep watching Friday the 13th or something on Showtime. Then at 4 a.m., I'd wake up to Showtime playing straight-up corn on the channel. Not even a scene, like, it's just a straight-up corn movie. And I just stared at it. My balls were still in my stomach, so I ain't feel nothing. But when watching it, I felt like a industry baby, if you catch my drift. In short, I ain't watched that many kid shows. But when I did, I was watching what every other baby was watching. While babies nowadays are looking at their Cocomelon, we Gen Ziggers was watching classics. Classics in the making. The children's programming from back in the day of our babyhoods were some of the greatest. Educating us kids on valuable lessons like go brush your teeth or don't be an ass. And I wanted to use the Wayback Machine and reminisce on the very simple times of watching baby shows, talk on how some of them were great and how some of them were the back door to my nightmares. But I'm gonna save that for the end. I'm gonna start this off with a channel that we're all familiar with, Disney Jr. Now, I'm not gonna show that much footage because Disney sucks, but I remember when this channel became a thing. Like, I was like around 8 years old enough to realize the meaning of my existence, but not old enough to have common sense, so I still needed this educational channels. But honestly, thinking about it right now, I don't think I ever watched a show to be educated before. I for real watched a lot of kids' education shows back then, and I don't think I've learned a single thing from any of them. They were teaching us stuff that we already learned at school. Why the hell I need to repeat it at me? That's why back then I barely watched kids shows that would ask you a question and wait 20 years for you to answer. It ruins my immersion of the show. I get less and less attached to the show when they hit me with fourth wall breaks. You ain't supposed to know I'm here. Like, who are you talking to? And after waiting 80 years of them just staring at you, waiting for you to answer, they just assume your answer anyway. So why'd you ask me in the first place? Wasted my time. I had goals as a kid. I had stuff to do. And this show was just wasting my time. Anyway, I forgot Disney Junior. There were a few shows I used to always watch. I remember watching Big Bear and the Big Blue House sometimes. Honestly, this show kind of scared me as a kid because the moon, it reminded me of that molester moon emoji. And that's the most I remember from the show. And I sadly wasn't a Wiggles guy either. But I heard a bunch of songs from them. And not gonna lie, they're pretty great. I've heard a bunch of songs from them. And after hearing them, I can tell you that this is one of the greatest bands of this generation. Of any generation. Every song from them makes you hype and go crazy. They're basically the Beatles if they were good. There was also Special Agent Oso, and really the only reason I attempted to watch this show was because Mr. Mosby was playing the wolf on the show, fulfilling my fantasies I had about him. But none of those shows were the main shows. The big three of my Disney Junior experience was Handy Manny, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and Little Einsteins. Not Doc McStuffins. She ain't no real doctor. She can't get me my BBL. Or Sophia the First. That show's for Atlanta niggas. We all know the deal with Handy Manny. You know, Mexican dude with talking tos that can fix anything. From a boat, to a chair, to your accident, you name it, we fix it. The characters were fun too. You know, there was this guy who was a complete loser. He had no hairline. He lived with his cat. He was always the butt of the joke. Never had any bitches. Easily the most relatable character on the show. I also remember them adding this new character. It was a flashlight. He only spoke Minion. I don't remember what language he spoke. But they was adorable. Every time they were on screen, they was just like cute like a minion. Then the main man, Manny himself, just being a helpful, handsome guy. He had a girlfriend, at least I think that was his girlfriend. He always had everybody on his back. He was such a Chad. He was such a handsome man. He's just a dandy guy. I like him. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, an automatic classic for the opening and ending songs alone. You know that song's M-I-C-K-E-Y, M-O-U-S-C. Oh man, makes my balls hot. Especially that hot diggity dog. Look at Goofy go. Do I need to say more? The only thing I remember this show messing up on was when they gave Toodles a face and a personality. Now he can talk and he can like communicate with us. I don't want this, man. He don't need to speak, bro. It's weird. Like, look at him. He look creepy. Like, if he could speak the whole time, then why didn't he say anything before? He's plotting something, I know it. And then there was Little Einsteins. I just loved it because I'm a bit of a musician myself. You know, I can play piano, trumpet, the recorder, the triforce of instruments. And since I'm a musical genius, of course this show would appeal to someone like me. And honestly, I don't remember what they did on this show. Like, they had a ship, they were talking instruments, dang, I think that's all I remember. I just remember loving it as a kid. And that theme song, you know, that old meme. They just don't make them like that no more. But Disney Junior was a great entertainment and education source for children back then, especially me. But it wasn't my favorite. Moving on to a channel that I liked more as a kid, in terms of baby shows, Nick Jr. Nick Jr. I have a lot more memories of as a kid, even though they had some dookie butt shows like Dora and the more boring Diego. But everything else was pretty good. Wonder Pets was pretty lit, although that turtle can go chug a bottle of piss. I still hate turtles. The Backyardigans, everybody loved this show. And the animals, Tanisha, Pablo, Bart, Jesse, and James, I don't remember their names, but it was such a fun show. You know, the backyard was always transforming and getting new settings like every single episode. I loved it. My favorite episodes were the jungle episode and the western episode. Max and Ruby. Now, I got mixed feelings on this. I used to watch this show a lot.
Like, I enjoyed the show as a kid, but I didn't really like Max all that much when I was young. I didn't really know any better back then. I just saw him making mud cakes and I was just like, that's gross, there's worms in it, bro. Why are you making that? It wasn't until I got older that I realized that Max was just having fun, man. He was just a young kid just having fun, playing with his toys, making cakes. He was just doing his thing. The real villain of this show, it was Roby. I'm not gonna get too in detail because then I'll just be stealing this guy's content. Shout out to him. But let me say this.
If I was in a room with a bow and arrow with only 2 arrows and there was me, Ruby, I don't even care who else is there. I'm gonna shoot Ruby twice. Blue's Clues was pretty cool too. You know, I like the cat. I like the box characters. My man Steve was drawing like Picasso with just a crayon. The show was nuts until Steve left to buy some cigarettes. What does the new Steve look like again?
Who the fuck is this?
Peppa Pig. I didn't really watch it because it was British and
I was more of a Olivia kind of guy.
But I'll admit it, the Peppa Pig album is pretty fire. Like, unironically, it's better than Honestly Trash. And I ain't gonna forget the GOAT. Yo, Gabba Gabba! I didn't really watch it that much, but my brothers loved it, and the characters look nice. Biz Marquee is in like every episode beatboxing, and DJ Lance is so into his character in the show that he's still in his character over 10 years after the show ended. So that's dedication right there. But yeah, I ain't really watched this show as a kid. The most I got from it was that one episode from South Park where Fufa became a thought. That's the most I ever got from it. And my personal favorite Nick Jr. show was Little Bill. Now, ignoring the controversies, this show taught me so many things, like how to talk to girls, how to ask a girl out, and the secret to getting any girl. And thanks to this show, I can say these tips changed my life for the better. Because of these tips, every time I move into a new home, I have to introduce myself to my female neighbors. And under state law, I basically have to tell them how good I am with the ladies. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I'm the Riz God, all cause of Little Bill. Alright, moving on from that, I want to talk about my actual favorite shows from back when I was a kindergartner. And back then, I was a huge fan of Thomas the Tank Engine. I love this show so much. It's just something about him. I was addicted to this show. Like, actually, I owned DVDs, had so many train sets and toys. I even wore Thomas the Tank Engine undies. I was wearing this man on my balls. You cannot tell me I'm a fake fan. You can't call me gay either. He's a train. Let him run a train on me. I really do love Thomas the Tank Engine. I consider it a very big part of my babyhood. I think the reason I like this show so much was cause that it was a very chill show. Nothing would happen in your face. The conflicts would always be in the island of Sodor with the trains doing the task that Sir Toppin Hat would tell them to do. And then a small hiccup happens and then they solve it, learning a lesson maybe in the process. Simple. It was a very simple, chill show and I like trains. The interactions were always very sweet, and when they weren't, you know when shit was going down, but they would always make amends at the end. This was a show just trying to tell a simple story each episode. It's not like those other baby shows that would constantly break the fourth wall and just start singing out of nowhere or asking you, do you know what 5 + 5 is? My favorite color, green. Like, bro, go lick my nut and gargle it, bro. I hate shows like that. Sometimes us kids just want to be entertained like the grown-ups. We don't want to get constantly talked down to in shows. We already get enough of that in real life. Why would we want that in our entertainment? And Thomas did have learning segments where they would ask us kids questions, but it would be in between episodes. Not the actual episode would have it. It would never get in the way of the actual plot of the episode. This is why I kind of liked Arthur as a kid too. Cause it ain't interrupt you in the middle of the episode with random questions. We was just enjoying ourselves, learning not to swear, and definitely not wanting to learn how to knit.
No, I'm not a knitter.
Arthur was great. I still don't understand that racism episode though. I thought it was just animals in this universe, but black people exist too apparently and get unfair treatment from the police. But there was no other racists that were mentioned, so is it the animals that are the ones being racist? Is it just black people and animals in this universe? What does an interracial baby look like? Okay, I'm gonna stop asking questions. Back to Thomas. I also love how this show only has a narrator. Narrating and doing every voice in the show. I loved it. It made the show feel more common and soothing. I even remember when Alec Baldwin was the narrator for season 5. He was great too. You just had to wear a bulletproof vest every time you watched the show. Not to mention the music. It's out of this world. It has no reason to being that great. And it wasn't just a few good ones here and there, you know, a few good bops. No. Every single one. I'm serious too. Every song sounds like it could be one of those classic Disney songs from back in the day. They just also catchy and so good to sing along to. And accidents will happen. One of the greatest songs of all time. Top 100. Not even fibbing. Listen to it yourself. It's like in 1984 when the show was created. The music team for this show was like, yo, let's only drop classics for the next 20 years. Like we're Kanye West or something. And the whole team responded, who the hell is Kanye West? But they did it anyway. These guys deserve all the Grammys. And that iconic intro. Nobody has forgotten that. This is genuinely one of the greatest kid shows of all time. The amount of nostalgia and pure bliss and joy I get from this show. Oh man, it cannot be matched. This show is amazing. It is fantastic. Or should I say, was. Because as soon as they went CGI, it was downhill. And only downhill. I was appalled when they switched the style. This happened back in 2009 when I was 6 turning 7. And even back then I hated it. I was all like, why are their mouths moving now? Why are the people moving? Why do they have their own voices? It changed so much. I avoided this new version every time I saw it on TV. I missed it when they were actual toys and it was in reality. This is just weird. It's unnatural seeing them like this. I always hated when kids shows would switch their style just to look more modern. Just look at Bob the Builder. For years he was looking good. He was looking nice because he was in stop motion. Look at Bob go. Woo! Okay, let's see what Bob the Builder looks like now.
Boots check, tool belt check, hard hat check. Bob the Builder.
Who the hell is that? That is definitely not Bob. That dude's name is Bertram. That is not Bob. That is not the same man that I knew from my childhood. This is not my Bob. They doing the same thing with Thomas. It's horrifying. And that ain't even the worst of it. You know the music? How I said it was one of the best songs of all time. You know, it should win all the BET Hip Hop Awards. It's so ass now. Oh my goodness. They changed the whole vibes of the songs, bro. It sounds so terrible, man. It used to be a choir of kids singing, and now it's just... Listen to this.
A special day with all your friends. Seems like it will never end.
This is trash. Who thought of this, bro? And the new intro is even worse, man. Listen.
Let's go, go, go on a big world adventure.
This is not Thomas sounding music. This shit sound like Paw Patrol, bro. I can't believe they massacred Tony like this, bro. This is not the reason why I wore you on my balls, man. This is not the show I used to love and enjoy. Stop trying to appease to these kids and appease to me. A grown-ass man. Appeal to me. They ruined it, man. They ruined it. They really turned Thomas the Tank Engine into that freaking bootleg rip-off Thomas the Tank Engine Chuggington. This is honestly one of the worst things that ever happened in humanity. And since I'm over here whining about this children's show, let me talk about one final show real quick. A show that I only remember watching once in my childhood, but that one time alone left a scar that still remains to this day. I was in elementary school, staying up a little late one night, and on a TV it was on Nick Jr. 24/7 baby content playing all the time. And at around midnight, this new show came on. It was called Oobi. This show was a hand puppet show, but unlike Sesame Street or any other hand puppet show, it was just hands.
This show gave me so... Alright, I'm gonna cut the bullshit. The show ain't even that scary. I don't even know why I found this show scary as a kid. It's just hand puppets. Maybe it's their creepy eyes, I don't know. But I'm not gonna try to hype it up to be like scary. I'm gonna sound like one of those like SpongeBob Theory channels or whatever. It's also because this show made me raise a lot of questions. Like...
How do they eat? How do they swallow their food? Where does it go? How do they use the bathroom? Do they have holes? How do they fight? How are their eyes attached to their hands? How do they put on rings? When they high-five each other, did they just kiss? Did they just have intercourse on screen? How do they even do it in this universe? And if they do it, do they wear gloves for protection? If so, how do they wear the gloves? Wouldn't that just cover their eyes? Where do their bodies end? There's actual people in this universe, What do they see below their hands? How do they drive cars in this universe? What is pushing the gas pedal? How does anything get done in this universe? I didn't like how many questions this show had me asking. That one time I watched this show was a life-changing and threatening experience for me as a child. And I hope no kid had to experience the nightmares I did because of this show.
Wild.
I've grown a lot since I was a jit. I'm never saying that again. I've grown in hair, length, size, but most importantly, I've grown in mind. And I don't think I would be the person I am today if it weren't for these children's shows. Well, mostly only Thomas and Little Bill, but the rest were here too. If I forgot to mention a show, I just didn't watch it as a kid. That's just the way it turned out for me. I love reminiscing about old times and old childhood memories. It makes me feel less old. And since we're towards the end of the video, I did not expect this video to be as long as it is, but that just shows how dedicated I am to this topic. And in conclusion, free Bill Cosby.
Si tú sabes perder tu tiempo, entra a mi perfil. Si tú sabes perder tu tiempo, entra a mi perfil.